Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we are back on the dev server for Update Red Skies, and it's time to have a look at the naval units which are on offer in Update Red Skies. First of all, we have two for America, and the first one is the USS Candid, the AM-154. This is a minesweeper which is going to be available in the Coastal Fleet tech tree, and it's actually going to be available between the Elco 77 footer and the Asheville, right here at rank 4. This machine has access to a 3-inch gun on the front. It's a Mark 10, and also two 40mm and four 20mm as well. It's quite a large machine for the armament that it has, but obviously it was mainly designed to be minesweeping, so that's the reason why. It doesn't have a ton of armor on it, only a little bit, which is actually on the guns themselves, and also the hull only has 8mm, so it should be pretty much destroyed by HE pretty easily. The crew, though, there is 95 members on this thing, so its survivability will be quite high, which is nice, and also it gets access to HEVT when it comes to its 3-inch gun, and some depth charges as well if you want to try and use them. So overall it's looking like a nice little addition to the coastal fleet. The Blue Water Fleet for America is getting access to a Big Bertha. This is the USS Wyoming. It is of course a battleship and going to be the end of the line vehicle for the center line of the tech tree after the Pensacola. This machine has access to 6 dual mounts of 305mm guns, and you can bring all of them to bear on a target in a broadside, which is going to be incredibly useful for the vehicle. It also has access to 16 127mm guns, plus 3 100mm and 5 3-inch guns. So this is way more armed than the North Dakota, which is at 6.0 right now. It also has access to a ton of armor. It has a 280mm belt, plus 229 rolled cemented armor lower, and then also 25mm, which is of course around the fuel tanks you can see right here. The model itself is absolutely stunning, and it should definitely be regarded as beautiful, and also has one central smoke funnel in the center. One thing I also want to use this as a demonstration for, there are some new little features for Naval which make it really cool. So they've actually added in some really nice things. Obviously the fact that this is a battleship means the guns themselves take a long time to turn around, but you can see the fact that you can bring all guns to bear at once, meaning you're going to have a hell of a broadside in the Wyoming if you want it to be. Still lacks in AA armament compared to a lot of other machines such as heavy cruisers and destroyers, but because of the time that this thing was around, it makes sense with that fact. So all the guns are nearly brought on to bear, and then if you fire the main guns, or I believe it's only for main guns at the moment, if you fire with the main guns and hold down the fire, you can actually follow the shells in. So you can see the shells moving towards the target and actually see them impact all of that good stuff. It's a beautiful little mechanic which they've added into the game, and then it moves you back to the ship itself. So I think that's just a lovely little feature. Obviously it doesn't mean too much in terms of gameplay or anything like that, but I think overall it's really nice to see. Hopefully we see more stuff like this, especially for torpedoes. It would be lovely to track torpedoes, just like you can track bombs and also rockets and missiles in air. Hopefully that is something that also comes to the game. It also means that it's changed ranging fire. You can't sequential fire anymore with the range finding, so that's a little bit of an issue, but hopefully you can turn this thing off, so therefore you'll still be able to. The next one is Germany, and Germany is getting access to a coastal boat which is a premium. This is the VS-8 Shell 1. This is actually the vehicle which was present in the game a few years ago when they were testing out mines in the game. Now they have also increased the duration duration of the mines. I believe right now it's actually at 15 minutes, which is incredibly long and does mean they are much more useful than before. It also has access to 4 15mm guns on the front. They have very wonky firing angles and also were kind of bugged a few years ago, so hopefully they're in a much better place nowadays. This thing will set you about 1600 GE, but it is also at rank 3, so therefore it'll be good for researching everything up to rank 4 and including. Just won't be very good for the rank 5s. Should be a little bit of fun. It's also a hydrofoil as well, so it can go above the water, meaning that it can get some extra speed from that setup. There's also something I want to show you with the Graf Spee. The Graf Spee right now actually has a new mechanic, which will probably come to a bunch of other ships as well, and it is in the form of a plane you can launch, and you can launch the plane like this, and you can just fly around with it, which is pretty cool. Has access to some bombs, and you can actually quick switch between the two different things. So you can take control of the boat, or you can set it to, you know, AI and just fire at what you want, and then you can just fly around in the plane as well. So overall, this is actually really cool. And hopefully this gets expanded to other machines. There are a few little bugs with it, such as the sound ones, but that's not a huge issue right now, and it's just really nice to see this thing actually be able to do this. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. There will be a separate video on the mechanic if you want a little bit more information on it, so make sure to check that one out on the channel. The next vehicle is for the Soviets, and it is the Bezuprechny, which is a destroyer, the PR-30 BIS, and it's going to be in the Blue Water Fleet tree. It's going to be at rank 2, so just before the Tashkent, and also at 4.3, bolstering that lineup of the Moskva and also the Project 7U. This thing has access to two dual mounts of 130mm B13 guns. It also has access to a dual mount of 85s plus 7 37s as well. Not a ton of armor on it. It's a very light destroyer in that regard, but does get access to a ton of mines if you want to bring them along. But if you don't, it also has access to torpedoes in the form of the 53-39-10, so not the best around, but still okay. They're really not good when you don't have the torpedo mode, but with the torpedo mode, it does have access to 10km distance, which ain't too bad. Also, you can get depth charges if you want, but generally I think people will just take the torpedoes, but at least it has access to the mines for some people to give a go at. The 130s have access to HE, then SAP CBC, and also HEVT, so overall should be quite powerful. It doesn't have as much armament as a ton of other machines at the BR, and also has a slightly weaker fire rate, but still should be able to pack a punch with the 130s against other destroyers. The next one is for the British, and it's actually the frigate, the Leopard. This is a new machine which is for the coastal fleet, and it's going to be the end of the line vehicle after the Brave class, meaning that the Brave class will get a lot cheaper when it comes to its modifications. This obviously helps it quite a lot. The Leopard has access to two dual-mounted 4.5-inch guns. These things have incredibly good fire rates and also have a pretty good damage output. It also means, since there's two, sets, if one gets knocked out, you still have good firepower, which is nice. It gets access to a dual 40 as well, but that's unfortunately it when it comes to armaments. No torpedoes, no mines, no depth charges, so you're very limited, especially if something takes out one of your main guns. Kind of reminds me of the PR-35 or the PR-159. If they take out one of your turrets, then it takes out a lot of the damage that you can output. Also, it doesn't have a lot of armor on it, pretty much zero, apart from the 16mm on the hull, but it does have a good complement of crew, so that will be where your survivability comes comes from. There's also a new squadron vehicle which is coming in, and this is the Liverpool. It is a light cruiser, and it does have access to 3 turrets with triple mounted 6-inch guns, 2 on the front and 1 on the back, and also has access to 4 dual mounts of 4-inch guns, 6 dual mounts of 40mm and 4 single mounts of 40mm. So it has a lot of AA coverage and also has a pretty nasty set of main guns. The major issue with this thing is the Southampton, which is kind of its brother in this regard, is at a higher rank and also has 3 more main guns on it, but it is also a higher BR, so at least, you know, that's kind of nice for the cruiser. The Liverpool being at rank 4, it will be able to research the whole of rank 3, 4 and 5 for the tech tree, and also you can run it with the Leander and the York to have that 5-3 lineup, and even if you have the Tiger as well, it's a definite interesting addition. For a light cruiser, it does have access to 114mm of armor in the center of it, and also a little bit protecting the ammo areas, which is great. It means that it's going to take a little bit more effort to pop this machine, which I think in general is actually very useful, since the meta right now is to fire AP at a lot of these machines and just eventually hope that they get ammo racked and then blow up. So having that extra armor is really good. Also gets access to torpedoes. These are Mark 9 torpedoes, 12.35 kilometers travel distance, pretty nice overall. So I would say for this machine, I'm glad it's coming because I'm running out of squadron research into other things, and with it alongside the Shimakaze and the Project 35, I would probably put it as the second one to get after the Shimakaze, which is incredibly good in arcade. The next vehicle which is on offer is for the Italians, and it is the Dante Alighieri, and this machine has been looked forward to for an incredibly long time. Since Update New Power, when they added in battleships and also added in battle cruisers, a lot of Italian players were asking for the Dante, and now, well, it's here. This machine has 4 sets of triple-mounted 305mm guns, 12 single 120s, 4 dual-mounted 120s, 4 76s, and also it has some separate 76s in 12 single mounts, plus 2 40mm as well. So this is one of the battleships which has really good armament. It's going to be incredibly powerful versus a lot of machines that it faces. It also has these little turrets on the side here. These are the 120s, the dual mounted ones. You can see that they're also very well protected and should be able to put out a ton of firepower. When it comes to the armor on the machine, it has a 250mm center belt, plus 203 on the top, and also the coal bunkers, which will give it an absolute metric ton of armor, as you can see with the armor dimensions. So that will be able to protect its center very, very well. It also has massive ammo storage in the front and the back of it, which is also covered by a lot of armor in the center of it. So overall, this thing is really going to be tough to kill. It doesn't sit as low in the water as some of the other battleships, but it'll still, you know, be able to take a punching and be able to deal a ton back. The 305s have access to SAP and APC-BC, so both will be able to deal out a lot. It gets access to SAP on the 120s and APHE on the 76s. One of the major issues with vehicles like this is the fact that they can't really defend against AA machines, but with the 40s, at least it makes the Dante a lot better than some of the other vehicles that are in the game. Another thing as well is it has these little single guns on top of the main mounts, which is really interesting, the 76mm that you can see here. And if you actually have a look at it, it's really cool that they have modeled each individual sailor on the guns themselves. I feel kind of bad for them because, you know, they're very exposed and also have to sit on the main gun mounts, but you can see them right here just kind of relaxing and dealing with stuff, which is really, really cool. They turn as well with the turrets, so they'll only engage once they have the firing arc going. And yeah, it's a wonderful ship, and it's one of those ones which has been asked for a long time, and now it's in the game, so hopefully people will enjoy it. One of the things though about it that may not be pointed out, it doesn't have a ton of modifications, especially at rank 1, and what this will mean is these modifications will be incredibly expensive to get, since it's an end-of-the-line vehicle, and also the end of the line for Italy. So it's going to be really hard to spade this thing, really hard to get like even parts and FBE on it, since still in Naval they haven't been reduced like tanks or ground has, so hopefully it's not too bad. Anyway, those are the new vehicles that are coming in Update Red Skies for Naval. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd like to thank BRFC, Swollen Ostrich, Teddy, John Ryman, Universe, Conte Baraka, Eugens Terry, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Lafouche, Barine, and Samuel Schlick for supporting the channel.